Scotland are no strangers to World Cups, whether it's football, rugby union, or even cricket. But there's one World Cup tournament that seems to be a stranger to many Scots. Scotland are playing in the World Cup this weekend. Do you know what sport it is?
I don't know, football, is it?
Haven't got a clue.
Rugby.
Which kind of rugby?
Yeah, rugby union.
Scotland are playing in the World Cup this weekend. Do you know what game they're playing?
Rugby, isn't it?
Which kind of rugby?
Rugby league.
In spite of everything, there's no lack of passion about Scotland's preparations for the Rugby League World Cup. Significantly, Sean McRae's squad, which has been training at Murrayfield, doesn't contain any native Scots.
I make no secret of the fact, and nor does any of the staff, that none of the players were born in Scotland. And, you know, I think we diffuse that quite simply by saying that the amateur competition in Scotland is not strong enough yet. The World Cup is a very prestigious event. I think it's a great opportunity for Scotland to put themselves on the map as a rugby league playing nation and try to develop the game even further. And I think that's very, very important.
We've got our strongest side possible, you know, because we want to compete and we want to make sure Scotland sort of stands out. We don't want to just have players in there that are going to be easy beats or whatever.
One of the questions we're constantly asked is, well, you know, are these guys making up the numbers? Is the fact they couldn't play for another country, is that what we're talking about? The answer is simply no, it's not. They have pride and passion. They want to play in the Scotland shirt. They want to wear the colours. And they, you know, either their parents or their grandparents, they want to make them very, very proud. And these guys are out there to give their best, and I can assure everybody they will.
Can there be pride in the Scottish jersey when so many of you come from other parts of the world?
Definitely. Like a lot of the players, even myself, like I've played here, and when you put on a jersey, you know, to play international, if it's for Scotland or any country, I think there's a lot of pride in running out on the field.
The imports aren't just from Australia. Yorkshireman Dale Lawton inspired the unfancied Sheffield Eagles to victory in the 1998 Challenge Cup. He's used to being among the underdogs.
I played for Scotland 3 years ago, and I loved it then. And I had a chance to play for England this year, but I turned that down because I'd already played for Scotland. And you know, because I'm that proud that my family comes from Scotland, my mother's side of the family. So I just took chance again to play for them again, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Hull's highly rated young standoff, Richard Horne, has no Scotland connections at all. His grandparents are from the Isle of Man. That allows him to play for any of the home nations.
Oh, it's great. It's something I've wanted to do all my life, and I've finally got the chance to do it. Got selected for the Scotland squad, which I was very pleased about, especially the coach being the club coach. So it's easy for me to settle in. I know a few of the lads as well, so it should be a good experience.
Scotland's preparations have clearly been low-key, and there's a relaxed atmosphere in the camp. That feeling's sure to change when the team takes on the New Zealand Maoris at Firhill today.
I think there'll be a lot of noise in both camps, really, because most opening games in tournaments often are riddled with mistake, a lot of unforced errors, and I think the team that can minimise those and maximise their opportunities will probably go and win this game.
How far can Scotland go? What would your measure of success be?
Ideally, we want to qualify, and that's the toughest part of the end of it. We've got a really tough group, so we've got to take it. We've got to get at least 2, I think, wins out of the 3, and beating the Maoris on Sunday, you know, that's what we're looking at the moment.
It's a competition where you've got to worry more about yourself than worry about the opposition, but no doubt, you know, the opposition are thinking the same way as well. So hopefully we can perform well, and yeah, I think it would be tremendous for Scotland and tremendous for the game of rugby league if we could get through to a quarter-final berth.
Do you know the words of Flower of Scotland yet?
I certainly do, but if you want me to sing them, you'll have to get us all together, I think, because I'm a little out of key at times.
That's good against him.
Against who?
The Edward's army, and sent him homeward to think again.
They only gained international status in 1996, since when they played 6 times. 4 of those games have been staged here. There's enough enthusiasm for the game in these parts, fed by those who enjoyed the Challenge Cup final at Murrayfield earlier in the year. There is a Scottish amateur league, but for the moment the team relies totally on imports. As for the Maori, emerging in front of us first of all, they represent 1/6 of the population of New Zealand. Effectively the main Kiwi side had first choice in selection, but this is a competitive squad, and it's worth remembering that in the past the Maori have beaten Great Britain only 4 years ago, and a little earlier they managed to draw with Australia. The Scots with the saltire proudly emblazoned across their chests. And one of the ironies of this contest is that while none of the Scottish players were born in Scotland, the person associated with this game who is most qualified to represent Scotland is actually the coach of the New Zealand Maori, Cameron Bell, whose father was a railway worker in Uddingston. And there is Cameron Bell, who for 4 years was the coach of Carlisle, the father of Dean Bell, who won the Challenge Cup on 7 occasions with Wigan, and he in fact is the assistant coach. The two sides lining up for the national anthems. Sean McRae, the Scottish coach, and first it will be the Maori anthem, God Defend New Zealand. New Zealand sung in Maori, and now the much rehearsed Flower of Scotland. Have been practicing the words, or at least the collection of Australians and Englishmen have been practicing the words, because the Scottish lineup selected by coach Sean McRae contains 11 Aussies. Graham Mackay of Leeds has even played for the full Australian team. Lee Gilmore and Dale Lawton are both Great Britain internationals, and at scrum half there's the precocious talent of Richard Horne, only 18 and so impressive for Hull this past season. The Maori include 5 Super League players: Koalov, Hoppy, Namu, Nico, and on the bench Moana. 6 of these men have played for New Zealand. Largely though a youthful team, 7 are 23 or under. And beneath the posts, the Maori players congregating, led by their captain Tawera Nico of Warrington. And they're about to perform their haka, which has been specially choreographed for this occasion by the team's cultural tutor, Tutu Ormsby, who's travelling with the squad as an integral part. Originally this was supposed to be a celebration of victory. They will perform it again after the match if they win. Stop trembling with fear and tell us who's going to win.
I'm predicting that the Maoris will just about overcome Scotland. You can forget about the spell from your mind where the Scottish players are born. There'll be a lot of passion in this match, but I just feel that the Maori have the edge on this one. A lot of experienced players in that side. They're one of them on screen. Tiara Nicholl.
And the referee, Stuart Cummings, vastly experienced. He controlled the last World Cup final 5 years ago between England and Australia. Scotland to kick off through Graham Mackay. And neither of these sides with any World Cup form to go on. Safe to say that the Maori have been together for 2.5 weeks, first in Auckland preparing for this tournament. Scotland came together first in the more humble surroundings of Leeds and moved up to Edinburgh at the beginning of the week.
These are the exchanges they anticipated before the match. The big collisions between the forwards, both trying to establish themselves and get a platform on which to wield both sets of exciting backs. Penalty early on, is it a scrum down? Just a little mistake, it is. Just a knock on the feet to Scotland, so Scotland have done their first job, their first task to upset the Maori with hard-hitting tackles and then have a chance themselves to take the ball forward.
Richard Horn with the put in and the ball from the base of the scrum. Now here's Lee Penny, the fullback from Warrington. The playing surface is good. There has been a fair amount of rain. There's plenty of wind gusting around as well, although it has dropped off happily in the run-up to kick-off. And Scotland with a promising early position with Richard Hoare. And now Dale Lawton, one of the Sheffield Eagles players who dramatically won the Challenge Cup a couple of years ago. Horn, the fulcrum in centre field, straightening up and looking for a gap.
It was good to see when Horn went there too. Purcell was close by. He realised that there was nothing on the outside, that the Maori moved up very quickly to cut down his options on the outside. Took on the line himself. This is the last tackle now. They may go to the O, they may use the back line to the left.
Well, this is Andrew Purcell with the kick through, and the chase is unsuccessful. It was Matt Daylight who went for the ball in the corner, who's been playing for Hull. He's about to move back to one of his former clubs, Cronulla. But the first set of 6 completed by Scotland, in the end though without tangible reward.
A nicely weighted kick from Purcell. Daylight was there, just got in there in time, but couldn't get the grounding, couldn't get downward pressure on the ball. He just bounced up in front of him, and it led off for the Maori. A good chance of Scotland gone.
Let's go down to the touchline, where our reporter throughout the game is going to be Damien Johnson.
Thanks very much. Here on pitch level, it is actually quite breezy, but the wind is dropping a little bit, and the pitch in fantastic condition considering all the rain we've had in Scotland over the last few days. Talking to Kevin Tamasey before kick-off, he's on the coaching staff of the Maori. He says if they play as well as they trained this week, they're going to win today.
Well, I had the good fortune and the privilege to see both of these sides in training for a day this week. I think there were worries, Joe, amongst all the smaller camps, particularly in the World Cup, about how the players are going to gel together in the opening game.
That's right, players coming from across the globe to unite under the flag of their chosen countries, but it is right all about how they start the competition. You can have the best training preparation you would possibly wish for, but it's all about when the whistle goes for the first match. We've seen it in the opening game of the World Cup so far, and it's sure to be the same this afternoon for both Scotland and the Maori.
There's the captain with the bald head, Danny Russell. And taken up by Adrian Vowles, the man of steel in 1999 from the Castleford Tigers. Scott Crown plays his rugby league for the London Broncos.
Big hits too for the Maori. David Kidwell breaking his presence felt. Kick down the field now, looking for the touch. Didn't get the 40-20. But into a stiff breeze, that was quite a good kick.
So it was Richard Horn So impressive against Wigan in the quarter-final of the Challenge Cup that we saw on BBC television last spring. Sadly injured for the semi-final, but here just 3 months past his 18th birthday and already with nearly 50 first-grade games behind him.
An excellent player, great prospect for the future. In fact, already making a reputation within Super League for being a star.
Stuart Cummings, the referee, not entirely happy with the formation of the scrum. Here's Toa Koilov. Many of these names will be familiar to regular rugby league viewers as Super League players. There are quite a few from the NRL in Australia as well, and a handful from the domestic Barter Card Cup competition in the Maori side. That's the domestic league in New Zealand.
A penalty there for just going up. Carrying on with the tackle, once it had been completed. The referee making sure that both teams adhere to his instructions. He ruled that this tackle was complete. The player and the ball onto ground. And there a flop. The second man in. Just trying to slow things down. Decision by the referee.
Well, the Maori have found touch through the route of Gene Namu. And here's Terry Hermanson, a New Zealand international.
The Auckland Warriors. Strong pack runner, and they have good field position now, the Murray.
This is Namu. And Scotland's defence being tested for the first time in this game. This is Tyron Smith. The legs of Torpy, full-back, and was gratefully gathered up by Jeff Bell.
Bell did well, not only did he make sure that he got up there in the face to cut down any attacking options, but also dropped on the loose ball, and that was good, enthusiastic play from Bell. Some of these hits that are going in though, fantastic collisions, making the marks. It's a little bit chilly up here in the gantry, but I'm not doing on the field.
Into a game that makes retirement seem like a good option. This is Lawton. Now Horn. Again we'll walk towards this near side and finds... my initial thought was that the ball had actually pitched inside the field of play, but the touch judge has said that it went out on the full.
Mine too. It'll be interesting to watch this on the replay where the ball bounces. It has to bounce in the field of play for the scrum to be in that half of the field, and I think that was just inside the line. And I think a little bit unlucky there, Scotland and Richard Horn. Seen a good kick into the ring. But the luck goes with the Maori.
And something of a bonus for them. Maori have competed in the South Pacific Cup for many years with the other South Pacific Island teams. And traditionally, outside the test matches in New Zealand for touring Great Britain sides, they've been the toughest opposition, as witnessed by their 40 points to 28 win over Great Britain only 4 years ago.
Again, good enthusiastic play. Russell this time getting down the loose ball. Scotland defending well. High shot there. Hey, don't let it. Yeah, lead up to it. Number one, please. Well, the step by Bell. And a couple of players going high from the Maori. The fullback up.
Stuart Cummings, the referee, is asking for the fullback, number one, who is Clinton Torpy, who was the main perpetrator.
I'm looking forward to Torpy playing this match. A lot of people saying he's the star of the future. Associated with the Auckland Warriors, with a lot of Australian NRL clubs chasing his talent.
As Torpy just broke into the Auckland side towards the end of the last NRL season and played 6 matches.
Well, that was a touch. Did find touch from the penalty, but a hand from the Maori winger. So it'll be a scrum down with Scotland's feet. Not the outcome they wanted, but still a good field position, a good chance for them to attack the Maori try line.
This is Vowles.
A lot of experience there. Vowles at the base of the Scottish scrum. Last year's Man of Steel in the Super League competition here in Great Britain. And I'm sure much will go well this afternoon for Scotland.
Logan with a barnstorming run. That's Heckenberg of St George Illawarra. Richard Horn of Hull. Andrew Purcell just released by Castleford, and the pass to his former teammate in Bob turns Adrian Vowles went astray.
That's what we're talking about, how this team will gel, both sides actually. The plan move, just not quite there, not quite clicking. And the pass going to ground and the check lost.
One game already completed in this group yesterday. You may have seen on BBC Grandstand Ireland's 30 points to 16 victory over Samoa.
That was an expected win, but again there were mistakes there, plenty by both teams. It does take these sides a little time to settle into the competition. Some of them haven't played for as much as 12 weeks, these players, before today's game and yesterday.
This is David Kidwell.
Good step from Kidwell, causing problems. Trying to get the quick play of the ball in as well, and the penalty, Scotland holding down, just letting the defensive line set just a little bit too long for the referee's liking. Good step from Kidwell, he's a danger, he's got pace and power.
It was Purcell, I think, that held on to the ankle, wasn't it?
Well, Russell got across, but Purcell, realising that his defensive line, his teammates weren't set, and chose to give away the option. Bit of a professional foul.
A promising position for the Maori. This is Tahi Rehana, who played in the Challenge Cup final in 1997 for the Bradford Bulls. And again, the referee unhappy and very quickly taken to Rohihi.
Well, you may have expected them to go for the 2 points there, but a quick tap. The confidence obviously that they can break the Scottish line close to it. They have the power, he's got to cross the line, but good defence by Scotland. Just pushing him back. Well, he's gone for the screen, has he? Yeah, he's going to test whether it's ball grounded.
Well, second tackle if he hasn't.
Stuart Cummings calling a temporary halt just to see whether Tahi Rehana managed to ground the ball when he got over the line.
He certainly had the power, didn't he? Got low, used his body weight and momentum, crossed the line, and good refereeing too, just to check. I don't think he was there. If the referee had any doubt, was saying there was no way he got across the line. It's a second tackle as far as he's concerned, and the ball will continue to be played by the Maori. I don't think this will be a try. Good defence by Lawton, using his strength just to hold him up and force him back with the knees, preventing that ball from crossing the whitewash. Good decision to have a look at it. But the right decision, I think, will be given here. No try, and the tackle count will continue.
It's a really stout piece of defence. Just need confirmation from the video referee. Who today is Steve Cross.
Wait for his foot.
Play restarts with Perenara. And here's Terangi. Curl of straightening. It's a 2 tackles.
Yeah, we've seen it so often in the Super League competition. Leading try scorer last year.
Torpy!
Got a try. Slack defence from the marker situation. And that's the first try of the match. Torpy, the fullback we talked about. Quick thinking, picked up after took away a little bit the initial break. It was good defence from Scotland to hold him out, but slack marker play. And Clinton Torpy, the fullback, the youngster, 20-year-old, seizing the chance of the first try for the Maori.
So the Maori, having been disappointed by the video referee just seconds earlier, do strike first in this game.
Both markers went the right way, but a little bit too late. He used his wingman as a foil, Torpy, and then slammed it down with the right arm for the try. That was well taken by the Maoris, and I'm sure they were pleased not to have taken the 2 points or the chance of the 2 points for the penalty. Ran it instead. Were held up once by Lawton, but then the fullback, using his reach and his strength, and beating Lee Gilmore to the corner for the try.
So Torpy, who was pulled up for the high shot a few moments earlier, now has something to celebrate. But the try was scored right in the corner, and on a gusty day such as today, kicking is going to be a difficult business.
Watching the flags around the stadium, around the ground, blowing in this strong breeze. It's difficult to tell exactly which direction the wind is coming from, but I would suggest that Namu just has the advantage of a strong breeze.
Gene Namu, formerly of Auckland and Manly, and currently with Huddersfield. He was their regular kicker this past season, although given their lack of success he didn't get too much practice.
So well, but not accurate enough. But they will be pleased with the start. The Maori, the forwards have matched Scotland with the early exchanges, and they take the first blood with the try in the corner by Torpy, picking up from Acton halfback, using Sean Hoppy as a foil and slamming the ball in for the try. Again we see it, ran towards the referee, used him as well, just to block the defence, and although Lee Gilmore was there, he couldn't prevent Torpy from scoring the
who are 50-1 fifth favourites for this competition. I'm sure so far it's going the way the bookies expect it to do. They've got Scotland listed as 7th of the 16 nations, 125-1 shots to actually lift the World Cup. Completely impossible, highly unlikely.
So this is the game that counts for these two. The first game, both keen to make a mark and win it.
Ramu's kick. Going to test out Matt Daylight in the left wing position.
Fingertips take, beautifully collected by Daylight, kept his eye on the ball, 3 Maori players going down on him. I'm sure you can hear them arriving, but just managed to keep control of it. Lovely take, and Scotland now trying to work it out of this corner. Good strong defensive game by them. And there's a wing. The size of the forward, helping out his forwards.
Graham Mackay, the former Australian international. With a kick to relieve the pressure from Richard Horn.
Another bad kick downfield. And a good chasing team too from Scotland, getting down there in numbers.
Let's go down to the touchline and Damien.
Yeah, it's really struck at the pitch side about the intensity of some of these collisions. Number 7, the New Zealand Maori, Harry Teirangi, just received treatment after a collision just a moment ago. He seems to be all right, underwent a little bit of treatment, he's back playing again.
There's a forward pass in that last segment of play, so it's going to be a scrum down right on the halfway line. With Scotland's put in, there is Harry Teirangi, who is the live wire of the squad, the joker of the squad.
Like all halfbacks normally are, good ones. Might have the last word and everything.
Let's get them all in, train is out. Okay, stand straight. Stay. Let's go.
Paul. Now Lee Penny.
Just to see how quick both packs were on the break there from that scrum, just to get to the defensive line or the attacking, depending on which side you're on. Interesting to see also how Tyron is organising behind the Maori line, making sure that his players are there. Jonathan Davis mentioned before the programme, I saw the programme, I should say, that he had a quiet season for Warrington Wolves. He's involved in everything in this one, and in that there's a penalty given away.
Here we go.
There's Corpu, was the player pulled up. Nico, the captain, also having a word from referee Cummings. It's an interesting difference in interpretation between the Northern and Southern Hemisphere referees over the interference at the play the ball. We saw the New Zealand referee in the England-Australia game at Twickenham last night giving a lot more latitude.
That's right, they're a lot easier to play the ball. They allow players to play it quickly and get the roll on, and it'll be a case of seeing the British-based players adapting as fast as they can to try and come up to speed. In this case we've got the referee that's used to refereeing to the British interpretation, but both teams will be keen to make the mark in that area.
Heckenberg celebrated his 21st birthday on Friday.
Move out.
Australian clock was as much as expected. Russell to Horn. Still trying to get their attacking game going. Scott Logan held.
It's not easy to get it going either when you're meeting defence like that. Moving up quickly in the Maori off the line and shutting the space down, and when they do arrive this, only drop the load, they put a big hit in. Scotland going a little bit sideways, it's up to Hall to step and go straight. Can't find the support, there's Penny.
Penny feinted to pass, created the gap and sped through it for Scotland's first try to level the scores at 4 points each.
And that's good work from Scotland, because they were being pushed backwards. There seemed very little options for them because of the defence they faced. Eventually Richard Hall took it upon himself to attack the defensive line of the Maori, and in support eventually Lee Penny collects the ball with a gap in front of him to score the try. The response from Scotland, bringing it to the left hand side. Richard Hall, lovely footwork, step, the spin, the offload, all the skills. Lee Penny throws the dummy and just evades the would-be tackle of Tyron Smith. Good handler from Scotland, probing, trying to find a gap in this strong defence. Richard Horn, the youngster, good skill, takes a hit from Tarpey, but still offloads to Lee Penny, throws a dummy to his left, and then finds open green grass in front for the try.
Lee Penny's first in a Scotland shirt. It's his third international appearance. Scored 14 tries for Warrington in the last Super League season, including 4 in one game against Leeds, and the conversion to be attempted by the one-time Australian international Graham Mackay, who's been playing for Leeds both at Union and League since arriving from Béziers Rugby Union Club. Hasn't been kicking for Leeds, but very experienced from the earlier portion of his career. That puts Scotland in front.
I thought Richard Hall might take the kicks. He's kicked during the season for the LFC club. Nothing wrong with that attempt. And conversion from Graham Mackay. So Scotland hit the lead and a great response by the Scots. Horn does so well here. Realises that he can't go any further forward. Finds Penny eventually, and a lovely dummy there from Penny. Bought by 3 or 4 players, including Kidwell.
As Lee Penny, very upset earlier in the season when revealed that he was the lowest priced fullback in the Fantasy Super League competition run by his local evening paper. But his performances during the course of 2000 made that look possibly a misjudgment. More than 80 career tries for Lee Penny.
And a couple of hat-tricks in that as well. He's not a player that stands at the back of the full box spot and doesn't chime into the line. He can score tries, as he's just proven. And while Form was a little unsure of these two teams before the game, a bit of a mix-up there. Adrian Voles just getting in the way, not sure what was going to happen. Bell decided to go to the short side and step straight into Adrian Voles, and a knock-on, clumsy mistake, particularly in that part of the field for Scotland. I was going to say that Form was unsure before this game, but what we knew that it would be evenly contested.
Stay at the back. Andy, down there. Leave it alone. Andy, get him back. Don't mess about.
Quarter of the game played. Scotland only narrowly ahead, having been behind, and this is Kidwell on the burst, well held. Kidwell, one of 2 players in this Maori team that played in the Anzac Test against Australia back in April. The other was the second rower, Tyron Smith. On the burst, Rehana.
Well met. The Scottish was entirely making sure that there was no way through.
Nico.
Again, good defence. Lee Penny in there.
Lee Penny tackling his club teammate into Tuera Nico. Corpu held. Last tackle. Needs a moment of ingenuity from the Maori. This is Jean Namu. And the offload to Rohihi, but good defence from Scotland.
That is great defence. That's well structured, organised defence with a lot of commitment as well, because they were on the rack a little bit there. The mistake in their own quarter, and they had their backs to the wall, but came up with the goods. And you have to thank Sean McRae and his coaching team for that.
There's no quarter being asked or given out there. It's an inhospitable day weather-wise, and there are some bone-crunching tackles. Scotland trying to emerge from their own 20-metre line.
Come on, move!
Russell. Now Heckenberg. Caught by Corpu, the Maori second rower. Horn. Scott Cram.
Last! Now Gene, come on Gene! And hold fellas.
Here with a kick downfield again to try and get field position.
Kick is by the captain Russell, straight down the midriff. I was going to say the throat, but it was a bit lower than that of Clinton Torpey, the fullback.
It's good defence, but you can see the skill that Torpey possesses, his own style, all in one hand, looking for the gaps. Very elusive and strong.
An entertainer like yourself, Joe.
Yes, thank you for that. Quite happy up here, particularly with the velocity that's going into the tackles.
Now Rohihi.
Now we have a full back line to the left. Nico playing the pivotal position there, looking for the long pass possibly. No, drops it back on the inside. And again, good Scottish defence.
As Rehana took the tackle. Now Jean Namu. The chip through, which is comfortably fielded by Graham Mackay in the end. And Mackay forced back over his own line.
Play in the field of play. Tackle one.
But
Tackle one. No, he didn't lose it.
Tackle was in the field of play.
Danny, get out of there.
So here's Lee Penny trying to gain some metres.
That's 2. Tackle 2.
That's a good chance for them, Maori. Great Friday, well used, well experienced. More clubs than Greg Norman, this player. Leeds Rhinos, East. Manly, they've quite a few. The Crushers. Now playing for Scotland. They did well just to get back there and defend. Make sure the ball is safe and keep it in the field of play.
Horn. Now Andrew Purcell. And he felt slightly unlucky to be released by Castleford at the end of the season. Lee Gilmore. who until earlier this week was actually on holiday in Ayia Napa. Arrived with the squad only in the middle of the week.
Top of his town. My God, good back.
Torpy. The story about Lee Gilmore was that he hoped to be called up by England, wasn't, and only at that stage did it emerge through a casual remark to the Scotland coach Sean McRae that he was actually eligible.
And Sean's wise enough to take little remarks like that and use them to his advantage and to Scotland's advantage. He's assembled quite a formidable squad here, utilising the ancestry rule.
Move out! Knock on.
Knock on, Gibbon.
Stuart Cummings just spotted this. It was the last tackle. They were looking for the kick possibly.
Right, you put the ball down.
But just a little knock forward. Two players in the tackle. One of them Lawton, and then just a little loss of control. Well spotted by the referee.
Let's go.
So the teams will pack down on the halfway line, in at the back of the
Hold, fellas.
Maori scrum to wear a nick out, but the ball is out on the Hull side with Lee Penny. Hull side, that was Horn of Hull. The Scotland side, and it's a penalty. Tawera Nico being spoken to. We should perhaps explain before floods of letters arrive at the BBC offices that Tawera Nico tells me this week we've been mispronouncing his name for the last 15 years. It's not Nico, it's Nico, and bearing in mind how tall he is, he can be Nico.
Well, exactly. My apologies to you because for the last 10 years that I've known him, I've been calling him Nico, so my apologies. Diallo, we'll follow your lead.
Not that we're scared of him at all.
That's all. John, he's so wide.
6 foot tall and 6 foot wide.
He's a key to this Maori side though, and the battle between he and Adrian Vowles in the 13 jerseys will be crucial to the outcome of this match. Big hit there going on the outside, totally illegal, and Bell was rattled.
There's Russell to Vowles. Vowles held man and ball by Odo Manuel. Heckenberg. He's a heck of a big player.
Scottish crowd appreciating that drive towards the post. The last tackle, they decide to come to the left.
And he appears to have run down a blind alley, but suddenly right opened up. And it's the handover.
Yeah.
Disagreement involving Scott Logan, the Australian who's playing in the second row for Scotland.
Last tackle one. Here we go. Leave it! And wait. That's 3!
Tirangi.
That's 4! Pull back!
Tirangi is one of the players from the Bartercard Cup competition, plays for the Otahuhu Leopards. Kicked downfield by Namu. It is wind assisted.
Yeah, a little bit too long. And that just shows the strength of the kick. Namu normally is so accurate and precise with his kicking. Trying to put it in the corner with a good chase, but a little bit too long this occasion. I think mainly due to the strength of the breeze behind him. There's the tackling. Lawton,
Wait for his foot!
making sure that he's around the field covering. Eckenberg as well, so 2 Scotland players in there making sure they're doing the workload, sharing it out.
Right, tackle one, stand up now, both of you! Come on, go away in there!
From tackler to
Now stand up, both
driving forward. Looking for a big game for Scotland. So proud to wear the blue and white jersey.
Sale. Graham Mackay almost breaking through.
Not many gaps out there, rather. Good defence, closing the gaps quickly. Both teams making sure they limit the chances of the opposition.
Two tackles to go. This is Heckenberg. Keep the ball alive, he's presented it to Nico.
They're just forcing the pass a little bit. Support was there, but Nico collected it. Good hit from Scotland. Vowles in there, Bell as well. Knock on given by the referee. Mr. Cummings asking him to calm down. He's not the one that's receiving a shoulder in the middle of the ribs.
there, fellas. All there. Let's go.
Again, stats pretty even, really.
Right, let's go. Trainers out.
Scotland just having the better of the first half so far in possession. The scoreboard also shows that a little bit margin as well. 6 points to 4 in favour of Scotland.
Scotland who've only played 6 previous internationals, won 2 of them. It's really only the last couple of years that they've got very serious about it. With respect to the pioneers who started off international rugby league involving Scotland in 1996, it was only last year that Sean McRae came in as coach. And very much with this World Cup appearance in mind, they've been building very firm foundations. This is Hall, switching the point of the play with Andrew Purcell. Purcell with the kick through. It was only a half-hearted attempt really to get to the ball by the fullback Torpey, and it's been hacked behind.
Well, good pressure from Scotland. Torpey did get there and managed just to push the ball sideways rather than control it and got it to his body. Got down but didn't control it, and it was left in the end.
Terangi.
It was, yep, you're right, just to kick it dead and make sure that it was safe. But it'll be a drop out now and Scotland will get possession back from this kick and have another chance to attack the Maori line. There's Sean McRae, the Scottish coach.
Michael McDonald, the team manager, alongside him just to the left there. So successful as marketing manager of Castleford Tigers.
I think the messages there going down to Mike Gregory's assistant as well on the bench. Former Great Britain player, Warrington player. Part of the Scotland set up. Now this is dangerous here from Dale Lawton, just lifted the leg.
Dale, you can't jump into the tackle.
Jumped in, he's right.
You can't jump into the tackle.
Referee well spotted, so he couldn't, so it's a penalty.
Okay, calm, let's go.
You can see here Dale Lawton just lifts the leg. And that was dangerous.
Dale Lawton is actually going to be taken off for the time being. The interchange regulations in this World Cup, really a hybrid of the rules here in Britain and those down under. 12 changes allowed from the 4 substitutes. That includes blood bins. You saw there David Maiden of Hull starting the play in place of Lawton. Terangi. Now Kylie Leuluai.
Okay, that's 2, clear!
Nico did well to hang on.
Great hands by Nico. The ball was going away from him in the wind. Just managed to pull it back in and put the ball a little wider. Good defence again from Scotland.
Nico. Kidwell. Haranara. And the knock on in centre field by Martin Moana.
The one on the field off the bench. I think just looking to see what he was going to do with the ball before he collected it. His thought was to the left and the support player that was out there, but he didn't control it. And a bit of a let off for Scotland. There'll be a sign of relief. They are facing this strong wind. The Ambulance is creeping up for the Maori. Scotland playing quite well, controlling the ball, controlling their sets of 6, and that's important in these conditions. And in the second half, they will have that strong beast to their backs.
Lee Kenny to play the ball. This is Lee Gilmore, who's wearing number 5, which is normally a winger's shirt, but playing in the centre. Graham Mackay, who is playing on the wing and was going to wear number 5, has never done so before and didn't want to.
I also suggest maybe that shirt didn't fit him. Look at the size of Mackay. Lee Gilmore, the slimmer of the two.
The contribution of Lee Gilmore will be an interesting one to assess. There is a feeling that perhaps he's a player who hasn't yet fulfilled all the potential that he showed when he first burst onto the scene 3 seasons ago.
Young player of the year for Wigan, just 2 years ago.
And just transferred this week to the Bradford Bulls. Here's Torpey.
Half break, just ankle tapped to stop him heading downfield with a quick play of the ball as well, and the roll on by the Maori. Good defence again from Scotland.
Sean Hoppy at St Helens tackled.
It really is hotly contested in the middle of the field. Some big hits going in. Both the loose forwards dictating the play.
Hermanson. We can go down to the touchline. I think Dale Lawton, who has just gone off for arrest, is with Damien Johnson.
Dale, injured or arrest?
Just arrest, as you can see, I'm out of breath, and we've got 12 interchanges, so Sean's using his interchanges wisely. He just brought me off after 30 minutes, which he said he was going to do in the first place. Happy with a narrow lead? Yeah, it's hard work. I mean, as you can tell, we've won through wind, so we're just looking to keep a short lead, keep the score down, and hopefully in the second half can wear them down a bit and score 3 more points itself.
Looks very physical out there.
It's definitely physical. We're moving up real quick. Stuart's on a short 10, and it's a real physical game.
Thanks, sir. Thanks a lot.
It's not as physical since he went off.
Just as Dale likes it physical. I was interested to see you mentioned that the wind was strong before the tackling. It is a physical game out there. It's a contest, and the score reflects that. Scotland just in front. The Maori again.
Andrew Purcell is limping quite heavily. You can just see in the back of the picture there for Scotland. And standoff half.
Nowhere to go. Look for the ball a little bit wider. Realise that Scotland will go quickly.
Here's Purcell.
He seems to be struggling. He may be looking for a replacement.
So the latecomers, Torpy's try put the Maori into a 4-0 lead. Lee Penny's reply converted by Graham Mackay has given us this current scoreline in Scotland's narrow favour.
Purcell will have to watch it because Torpy is obviously spotted, but he is limping. There is a gap out there if the ball can get across, and he can use that gap.
And here is Coelho. Finding Sean Hoppy. Now Nico. And Chris Nahi. Tackled by 3 Scottish players.
Expect this ball to go high, use the wind, try and cause some problems for Lee Penny. Instead they do a little chip over the top, but well collected by Matthew Daylight. Got down well, controlled it. He wasn't fouled by going backwards for the long kick or the high kick, just held his position just behind the defensive line and took it well.
Terry, move on, Terry, hands up!
Nice little chip over the top by Moana, and great take by Daylight.
And Daylight now in possession, running laterally.
Stand up!
Now Lee Gilmore.
Nice footwork from Gilmore. Attempted big hit, coming in and just use the footwork to get away, make the player miss, and then look to promote the ball and pass it to the outside. It wasn't. This will be a high shot on Richard Hall and a penalty. Penalties 2 creeping up, a few high shots. Hall, nothing wrong with the first one, and then the high shot across the top by Hermanson. Did catch Richard Horn. Nothing wrong with the first tackle with 9, and then across the top Hermanson got caught.
Hang on, hold it.
From Richard Horn in the jaw. So now crucial time just before the half-time interval for Scotland to try and extend their lead.
Here's Hall, covered from the hit by Hermanson. Purcell, who hasn't recovered and is limping still quite badly. And now Andrew Purcell signalling to the bench, but he needs to be replaced. Scotland, though, still on the attack with Gilmore. Mackay going inside him. And Russell across quickly to acting halfback. Using Mackay as a foil.
Then on our side, not much room to work. They nearly came off for Russell, the captain.
Stand up!
It's the last tackle. And looking towards Horn for the kick. Which is well gathered by Jeff Bell. But he could do nothing with it, so it's the handover.
He had to get rid of the ball as soon as he collected it.
We got it,
If Scotland were to score off that kick, it was put into the danger area. It was well covered by the Maori. Bell did well to get there, but couldn't get it to a supporting player.
There was a little scuffle off the ball as well, involving Bell and Terangi. Expect the touch judge to scamper on, but then the two of them separated and the touch judge scampered back.
Tackle 1, now stand up!
But there have been a couple of moments of ill feeling involving those two. Nico. It seems strange to call him that after all these years, but that's what the big man wants. Hermanson, who's going to retire after this competition. Terry Hermanson, 33 years of age, 4 caps for the full New Zealand team. for clubs as diverse as Sydney City and Doncaster. Hermanson's knees so bad these days that he rarely trains. It's bone on bone, I gather now.
There's a sprint here. Daylight and Penny covering. Penny again, using his experience, just getting there, preventing Manuel from collecting the kick. And it's now Daylight who's trying to get back into the field of play and just bring the pressure away from his own try line. Mackay there just limping. As soon as he took that ball, whether it's an injury which may take him go off the field, Achilles possibly.
Another minor configuration, unsurprisingly involving Hermanson.
And Vowles.
Move away. No need for anybody else to come in. Right, let's move away.
Shaw there.
Let's move away. Terry, come in, please.
Will get good refereeing
What I
quickly.
saw is you pull him down after you go in and tackle him. Right, he's going to like to stand up. You don't carry it on. Okay.
The characters that will never take a pace backwards, Rowles and Hermanson. Scotland getting the penalty.
He's 26 on the field at the moment, they won't take a step backwards. Maybe that 27, I'll put the referee in there as well.
This is Danny Russell.
Just to prove the point.
Let him go 10.
And the quickly taken tap by Russell, who's the only player to have played in all 7 of Scotland's international matches. Captain in all but the first of them. Now Wade McDonald, who's just joined the game, the 6'7" forward, just moved from Hull to St Helens. The Gilmore, Nico squaring up, and Wayne McDonald involved as well.
It's been bubbling for a while, hasn't it? Temper's becoming a little bit frayed.
Move away. Right, back out. Let's back
Now
out.
it's an opportunity to listen to the referee's interpretation of that.
Let's move back.
Nico being ushered away.
Okay, let's move back.
There's the calmest man on the field, Stuart Cummings.
That's it. Right, from where I stood. Terry, just back off, please. Right, from where I saw it. Where McDonald push T in the face on the both side of affirmative, yes. Penalty's going to Maoris, both players going to go.
Sin bin for both players then.
Yep, just to calm things down, good referee, and all the match officials working as one unit there, making sure things will calm down quickly, and the right decision, I believe.
So, McDonald and Nico, for that exchange, will spend 10 minutes in the sin bin. And whilst the referee was meting out justice, the half-time hooter went.
Half-time hooter went, but the penalty will count. And if when this ball is stopped, the referee blow for half-time. They'll take the tap.
It's Perenara with the ball.
You may see a kick from this one.
Namu. Kidwell ran amongst those beneath the ball. Daylight eventually managing to gather it in, does he? And that is half-time at Firhill, with Scotland holding a narrow lead, 6 points to 4. Torpy's try for Maori, cancelled out by that man Lee Penny. The conversion from Graham Mackay, who's one of 2 Scottish players who has been stricken by injury in the latter stages of the half. 6 points to 4. Is that a fair reflection, Joe?
I think so. They've done remarkably well, Scotland. They'll be pleased with that at the half-time interval because they're out of that strong breeze, and the talks at the half-time will be how to utilise it in the second half.
Right, let's go down to the touchline and get the view of the Scotland assistant coach, Mike Gregory, who's with Damien Johnson.
Mike, would you have settled for that at the start of the game?
I think 6-4 and the state of the wind, obviously the viewers can't tell how easy it is out there. We'll be quite happy with half time. Then we just got to control our sets and complete it a bit more. They were a bit rattling the Maoris, but 40 minutes and we just can't ride them off, and 6-4 is just too close to go.
What was your view of the sin binning a few minutes ago?
Well, again, we're right on top of it, and obviously you've seen it closer, but Nico throws the first punch, maybe that should be sending off, and maybe it was a sin bin, but we're not going to go, it's a test match football. It's a bit of give and take, and if you can get away with it, so be it.
Welcome back. Just waiting the arrival of the two teams from their half-time break. We've been talking in the half-time interval about the number of Scots, or rather the lack of them, in the Scotland side. It is worth pointing out that the first ever captain to lift the Rugby League World Cup was a Scot, Dave Valentine, back in 1954. And there, those two gentlemen with the lit microphones, charged with the task of relaying this game back to the Maori viewers and listeners in New Zealand. Population of 450,000 out of the 3 million New Zealanders are of Maori descent, and on the right there, Clifford Hemana Waka, and on the left, a gentleman with a particularly special interest in this game, Bernie Perenara, whose son Henry is playing as hooker for the Maori team. And here come the New Zealand Maori, the Aotearoa Maori, to give them their native title. Aotearoa means the land of the long white cloud. Tyron Smith with the shaven head, the long striding second rower. Sean Hoppy of St Helens. And the setting for this game, just a mile to the west of Sauchiehall Street and the city centre of Glasgow. Firhill holds around about 12,000 people these days. The crowd is nowhere near that large today. But what can't be faulted is the enthusiasm of those here in Scotland who are doing their utmost to get some sort of a grip for rugby league by the setting up of the Scottish Amateur League, which has been in existence for 5 or 6 years now. The Glasgow Bulls, who are the current champions, actually get automatic entry to the Challenge Cup this season.
An awful lot of hard work's been done here in Scotland, and in particular in Glasgow. Obviously, soccer predominantly played and watched, but they are making their mark in Scotland within the league and trying to promote the game.
Well, the Maori team are out there. We're just waiting for the Scots.
Number 15, Maori.
And we've talked already about one family link with the Maori television commentator and his son Henry Perenara. As the Scots come out, there is Kylie Leuluai, whose uncle James, the former Hull and New Zealand centre, was one of the players when Hull were dominating the rugby league world in the early 80s.
If he turns out to be half as good as his father, then he'll be an exceptional player. James, a tremendous player at Hull. Privilege to watch, not that much of a privilege to play against. Great skill.
There's another of the pronunciations that Tawera Nico gave me. He said it's not Luluai, it's Leuluai, so henceforth it is.
And henceforth again, my apologies to the family.
And all connected with them.
Right, stay behind, fellas.
Well, we're set for the second half. Scotland leading by 6 points to 4. That try from Lee Penny, converted by Graham Mackay. And the try scorer directing operations behind his own post. As Jean Namu restarts. The Maori now playing from right to left.
So we're going to set up now and see if Scotland utilises strong breeze at their backs and push the ball down, try and get field position, and then capitalise on hopefully some mistakes that they've been able to force the Maoris to make. It's ironic actually that in a game of this type with so much forward battles going on across the field, that both fullbacks score the tries in the opening exchanges, but I don't think it'll be the last of the scoring by any stretch of the imagination. Mistakes will come, players will tire. Remember, this is the first game of the competition, and for many the first game for an awful long time, sometimes 12 weeks. So players will tire, there will be mistakes, and I think there will be a lot more points on offer before the end of this second half.
Worth reiterating as well, as another crunching tackle is effected out on the field, that it is 12 aside for the time being. Wayne MacDonald of Scotland and Tawera Nico, the Maori captain, sin-binned in the dying moments of the first half, and they will be off the field for the first 10 minutes of this second period of play.
The pace of the game and the intensity of the hits haven't stopped despite Nico and MacDonald being off the field, and the Maori have a great chance here to the left with good tackling. Lee Gilmore getting across there. The last tackle. Now Maori to go to the air possibly. No, instead putting it across. Well, a hard chance if the Scotland can pick this up. Horns there and does well again. Good enthusiasm.
Gathered it in from Terangi. Maybe that my eyes are deceiving me, but there is an anomaly out there as well in the form of the number 6 for Scotland, Andrew Purcell, who is still limping. He's actually got number 6 on his back, but he's in back play at the moment as we watch the charge up towards the line by Matt Daylight. But if you look at his shorts when he turns round, he's actually got number 13 on his shorts. Can't see it from that angle, but he's wearing an amalgam of various people's kit.
Well, that must have been a bad tackle. Merge two players together.
Andrew Vowell's shorts being sported by another player.
Last tackle for Scotland, this set of 6. Purcell, well, again, he was struggling. You can tell that he has problems with the ankle. He attempted to step off that right foot, and he just gave way beneath him. I think he'll be looking again to be replaced in this second half, because the Maori will exploit any weaknesses out there. It's just got a couple of good hits in defence. It's his ability to cover across at speed that will be the determining factor whether he stays on the field.
Let's hear from the manager of the Maori team. They're trailing 6-4 at the moment. He's with Damien.
Ben Penny, what was said at half-time in the Maori dressing room?
Well, obviously Kevin Bella isn't very happy with the way we've been playing. We certainly didn't train this way. I think it's just trying to settle in, and hopefully that we can open our game up. We play a pretty open game, and obviously you haven't seen that in the first half.
Thanks very much, Len.
Okay.
Well, the Maori have a penalty. Gene Namu with the ball.
It's up to Tirangi really and Namu to try and get the more expansive game plan into position here, because they have had the forwards battle for the first half. Namu on screen there really needs to promote the ball and bring in the exciting backs, including that full ball we talked about, Tarpey, and make sure that he champions the line as often as possible to cause problems for Scotland.
This is Chris Nahi. Nahi, who just to play for the Gold Coast Chargers. Perenara, Tirangi, back with Perenara, and then well tackled by Purcell, who's really struggling, but is still out there. Perenara burrowing towards the line. Now Moana, shrugging off 2 attempted challenges. Tirangi providing help. Val's got back to him, it's the last tackle.
There's an overlap here on the left too. They have to push it wide, and Maori in Scotland will have to scramble. They do well again. A little bit of luck and good fortune for the ball to ricochet into the hands of the short for Scotland. But it was good defence, good scrambling defence, because that was a great chance for the Maori to score.
Now it's Matt Crowther. Crowther, who's the record point scorer for Scotland. Only amounts to 24, but theirs is a brief international history so far.
Both teams still down to 12 men, but there's still very little space, very few gaps for which to run through. Half a chance for the big forward.
Russell looks to kick and test out the fullback Torpey, who's not found wanting. It's the part of the game he particularly enjoys when he's able to come forward, and he's managed to offload to Sean Hoppy. Hoppy was part of the St Helens Grand Final winning team only 2 weeks ago. Odell Manuel. Perenara. Purcell hurled himself into the tackle. It's something of a mystery as to why they haven't replaced Andrew Purcell. Tirangi. Nahi. Met fiercely by Vowles, but it's play on with Tirangi.
Good step through the gap. Purcell is putting the hits in, but if he's just caught on a one-on-one, his foot will let him down.
Namu. Kidwell. Powerful, rangy centre, David Kidwell. And still keeping the ball alive, but illegally so, and it's going to be Scotland's penalty.
Yeah, Kidwell did pass the ball after the tackle was completed. The referee had called held. And again, a sigh of relief for Scotland. Kidwell coming across, good tackle, good cover by Gilmore. Lee Gilmore getting across there. The tackle was completed, and then the pass was put in after the referee had called held.
David Kidwell, who is reported to be signing for Warrington from Parramatta, which will mean that with he and Koa Love in the same Warrington team, we're seeing possibly next year's Warrington centre partnership in action here for the Maori today. Russell's tap. Darren Shaw. Another 3 minutes or so before Nico, or Nico as we now have to call him, and McDonald are able to come back onto the pitch.
That's 2, stand up!
Russell dummy half. Richard Hall. Stricken Purcell. Vowles allowed the ball to slip from his grasp. Looks crestfallen as well, Adrian Vowles.
Well, a little shrug of the shoulders and a pat on the back for him. But again, there was very few openings in front of Vowles and his teammates. Good slamming defence put on by the Maori.
Let's go,
They made sure that they moved up and out to stop any chance of Scotland exploiting down the flanks. There's the top tacklers again, continues Scotland. Being caught this time. Namu up there as well, a half-back for the Maoris with 16 tackles. That shows how much work is being done in the middle of the field in the ruck area. And Namu possibly being targeted by Scotland and forced to do a little bit more work in defence than he would like.
At the time it was Kidwell whose handling wasn't secure. Matt Crowther.
Alright, tackle one! Stand up!
With Crowther coming on and Mackay off injured, Scotland have a ready-made replacement when it comes to goal kicks, if we get that far. Gilmore. Almost up to halfway. Let's hear from Damien down on the touchline again.
Yeah, Danny Russell's been at the centre of all of Scotland's best work this afternoon. It's been interesting to see because, of course, at club level his future is in some doubt. His Huddersfield side have just signed Paul Rowley, the England international, but he's certainly playing well here this afternoon.
Scott Cram handling the ball backwards, and Scotland retaining possession with Shaw. And now Scott Logan.
Logan didn't know because he had to straighten it. They were on the slide sideways and attack that time, and that's easy pickings for the Maori, so they had to go forward. This is the last tackle. Vowles puts a little chip over the top, a little bit too long, well collected by Daylight. And again, the Maori's there just to clean up.
Daylight managed to flip the ball in field, but Jeff Bell couldn't come on.
Maybe a bit of advice to put the ball on the floor because it didn't really seem on. Long ball across now. Hoppy with a chance one-on-one.
Trying to hold him up but not succeeding. And Sean Hoppy hasn't got all the pace that he needs to go all the way.
Kidwell in support and E2 was hauled down by Penny. Well, Scotland at full stretch. Scrambling defence now to get back to the Maoris. They push it to the right.
Tyron Smith. Smith accepting the two-man tackle from Vowles and from Shaw.
Well, there were two people outside him waiting for the passing gaps in space. There again is Talpi.
Torpy finding the man outside him, but still no way through for the Maori. They're going to give the Scottish defence another severe examination. We're just about to get the return of the two sin bin players. This is Gene Namu working the run around with Hoppy, and space for David Kidwell to score.
That's great play by the Maori to make the gap that wasn't really there. Scotland were at full stretch. It was scrambling from left to right, and eventually the try scored by the Maori to take them back into the lead. Kidwell, David Kidwell, the try scorer, the Parramatta player, possibly on his way to Warrington, and that was well worked by the Maori backs. Bringing it to the left, Hoppy involved as well, putting the little passes along. Namu, Kidwell with the run around, back into Namu, then just a drop off pass inside to Sean Hoppy, and once Hoppy had pulled in the slide defence, then it was an open run in the line for Kidwell, and he's pleased with that one. Great work by Namu. This is what was suggested, that they have to get it wide through Namu, the little run around, and then as the slide defence came across, Hoppy backing on the angle, and David Kidwell just beats Lee Gilmore's half-hearted tackle and scores under the post, so this should be an easy conversion. The dive as well to confirm it. Great start to the second half for the Maori.
And Gene Namu, who created the try, is going to attempt to tack on the extra 2 points. Puts the Maori back in front thanks to David Kidwell's try. 5 caps for New Zealand, this though his first international try.
This is the key to the move and the try scorers. Now moved ball across 2 defenders, ball Hoppy back on the inside, and Hoppy himself using Kidwell, who would have been the pivot on the run around, who found himself in space with the referee in front of him. Lee Penny's beaten and the try score. Here from the high shot, again you see Namu, they run around with Kidwell, just sucks the defence in, they go on the slide, Hoppy back on the inside, and that pivot and centre play of Kidwell, the try scorer.
Really well worked score by the Maori. 10 points to 6 in favour of the Aotearoa Maori. Fifth favourites for the tournament. They really fancy their chances of getting through to the quarter-final stage.
And the Simbin's off. Back on. The two players.
McDonald.
That's right. And in their absence, and they would take the lead again. So despite the strong breeze at Scotland's back, they are the first ones to capitalise in the second half. A good player really to score a try. They'd worked it well, they had pressure, and they had Scotland on the rack for 2 sets of 6 there before they scored the try.
Interference at the play the ball by Jeff Bell.
Bell never getting back, just caught it with his leg. He's annoyed himself too because he tried to get back in the marker position, but he did interfere, and therefore Namu will kick the touch. And again the Maori come deep into Scotland's half in an attempt to just stretch the lead. Strong words, I'm sure, from Cameron Bell and his son Dean Bell have changed at half time. It was said that they hadn't, or they weren't playing the way they trained. I presume that the try scorer by Kidwell just proves what they are capable of.
Nico, now Manuel, back with Nico. Familiar attempt to weave his way towards the line. Cameron Bell, the coach, watching on anxiously. And that's going to be a penalty to Scotland.
2 markers out.
Clear explanation by the referee. The man playing the ball had taken the 2 markers out, just blocked the acting halfback to pick up and try and exploit the gap. Nicky went forward and the referee pinging the Maori for the penalty. So again, relief for Scotland, who have put the ball into touch and try and work downfield. They really have to get some field position because they've been on the cosh for the majority of this second half. They've had very little field position in the Maori half, and I think they'll have to use the strong wind and the kick just to get down there into the Maori half. There's the possession, 72% in the opponent's half by the Maori, and that into a strong breeze in the second half.
Oh, the fumble by Gilmore.
And that's not hell, you see. We don't like to see them kick early on, but in a breeze, with a breeze at their backs, if you make a mistake in your own half early in the tackle count, then again, under pressure Scotland would have been much better. I'm sure Lee Gilmore there would have annoyed himself for dropping that ball, but I think it would have been wiser just to put the kick downfield and try and force the mistakes from the Maori.
There's Tyron Smith.
They seem to be growing confidence now, don't they? They're making little plays around the base of the scrum. They're also dictating at the half-back position. Here's Moana, Namu looking for the centres. Kidwell again goes off the right foot and straightens it. Good defence from Scotland, but they are pressing the Maori and they're looking for another try.
Within 1.5 meters of the line. It's been a tight game, so another score for the Maori might be enough, and there is Torpy for his second try.
The tipped off, it was one to watch. It was again a well-worked try by the Maori. The ball back inside this time. Kidwell involved, Moana involved, the pass from Moana to Torpy. And the Maori extend their lead, his second try on the debut. Lovely pass. They had them at stretch, the little ball back on the inside. Moana does the damage. Namu's in support, but he's not needed. And Clinton Tarpey scores his second try. Quick hands from the acting half-back position. Moana just draws Gilmore out of position. And the full-back chimes in for his second try. Well worked. Scotland at full stretch, the inside ball, and the defence breached. We were tipped off, it was one to watch, and it was a good call because he's played very well in attack and defence, scoring 2 tries on his debut.
And Gene Namu with another relatively straightforward attempt to tack on the 2 points. 14 points to 6 at the moment with this kick to come. 22 caps for New Zealand, Gene Namu. Problems. 16-6. Thanks to Clinton Torpy with his second try.
Here is the key to it. Moana just turns his back, manages to attract the attention of Lee Gilmore, the centre, and in support on the inside is the fullback. That's well worked, good plan move. And again they had Scotland at full stretch, and there was nothing they could do to prevent the try being scored by the Maori. They extend the lead. There is the score. 6 points to 16, and quite a commanding margin now, 10 points. Scotland have to hit back pretty quickly if they're to come back in this game and win it.
I hesitate to say it with a player called daylight on the field, but there is some daylight between the two sides now for the first time. 10-point margin as the tackle count, which is relatively even.
But Scotland, you would expect to be doing a little bit less work in this half. They have to come back into this one. And the penalty now in good field position. They really must capitalise on it.
On loose again, and Daylight did well to try and regather, but then he lost it. And on the break, Tirangi.
From the Untitled Leopards Club in the final of the season. Made a good break there, but again they would just capitalise on mistakes that Scotland were making.
Kidwell handing off Lee Gilmore. At least to start with. It was Gilmore's handling error that led to the position from which Clinton Torpey got his second try. Corpu, the second rower. Perenara. Namu. Now Nico. Tyron Smith.
That's 4! Hands out!
Rohihi.
No direct method. The last tackle, will they go to the early Maori, will they put the high kick up? Nico asked for it, he push it wide to the left. Namu unable to control on this occasion. A little bit sloppy.
Hand over! On the line!
Hand over to Scotland.
Here we go, on the set!
This game very much a developmental tool for the sport of rugby league in Scotland. It's a sign of how the codes are working together. The Scottish team have been training at Murrayfield these past 3 or 4 days. They're going to be guests at Murrayfield to watch Scotland play the United States at Rugby Union next weekend. They've reciprocated by inviting the Scottish Rugby Union players to watch their game with Samoa at Tynecastle a week today. Plenty of youthful supports for Scotland. Horn. Russell on the short side. A kick that is easy for Torpey to field.
It is, the space was third on the side. Just couldn't find a support player, put the kick over the top. A little bit too long to Torpey collected easily.
The one thing that Scotland do have is some time, still a quarter of the match remaining.
Get in there, mate.
And a 10-point gap to make up. Rohihi.
Come on, fellas, you're not getting back to 10. Not coming back to 10.
And that's a sign of Scotland tiring. The referee there just saying that they weren't coming back to 10 in defence. They weren't making the defensive line, and he's just given a penalty against them. Sean McRae must be a little bit worried now because his players are starting to flag. 10-point margin. Looks at his clock just to see how long they have to get back into this match and win it. So important to get off with a win in the competition, and the Maoris look at this stage like they might be pinching this one from a close contest.
And this expected to be the closest of all the groups, with Ireland and Samoa also involved. Difficult to call who's likely to emerge, but those that do are almost certain to face Australia or England in the quarter-finals. Another good field position for the Maori with Nico. Now Moana. Tirangi. This is out Tyron Smith. This is Torpey. Torpey will be scenting a hat-trick. This time it's gone astray.
They're showing the confidence of Maori. They're just forcing the pass a little bit too much. They are leading in the score, but 10 points is not enough for them to become haphazard and make too many mistakes, because Scotland have the ability and the capability and skill to capitalise should they get field position and possession deep in the Maori half. And I still feel they have to use some of the kicks. They have to try and get field position by using the strong breeze and shoulder backs instead of trying to go down the middle. They have a penalty now. It's probably a quick tap.
Maiden wanted to take a quick tap, but cleverly Corpu, the second row, just caught him as he ran past and halted his progress. Adrian Vowles.
He'll need to push this one deep. Doesn't get as much distance on it as he probably wanted. But the training moves that have been practiced throughout the couple of weeks leading up to this game have been evident. The platform first of all through the forwards drive. Lawton taking it forward.
There's Lawton. Russell waiting to distribute. Lawton has just come back on in place of Darren Shaw. There's Vowles. And then Scott Cram.
Half a chance for Cram. Good defence. Just shutting the gap at the last minute. Maori.
Vowles to Lee Penny this time. Maori tacklers swarming around him.
Stand out, stand out.
They have to hit towards the post, try and find a gap just on the fringe. They bring it back in the middle. Instead, that's the last tackle. Good strong defence from Maori.
Tyron Smith that caught Heckenberg. Last tackle. Horn goes to the air but slices it off the outside of the boot.
The idea was there, but the execution poor. And again, it just shows how strong the wind is. The slice off the boot, and the ball goes sailing into the dead ball area. Richard Hall, the scrum half. Such a talent. Well marked during this game. Had very little opportunity.
We've been mentioning that Scotland have been playing at Murrayfield and generally in Edinburgh. Cameron Bell and his son Dean there both have spent time with the now defunct Carlisle club, and so they chose Carlisle as their training base. They were invited to a mayoral reception earlier in the week. Chance for them to meet up with plenty of old friends.
And finally Dean Bell marrying his wife Jackie from Carlisle.
He was telling me this week that he met her the first day he arrived in Carlisle. In 1982. Came over to play a season with Carlisle and then came back to this country with the first ever Maori tour when they played a succession of amateur sides the following year. And then of course ultimately ended up as a very successful teammate of yours, Joe. Namu to Tirangi. Torpy. Oh, well gathered in by Jeff Bell.
Held it well at full stretch there. The Maori again just forcing the pass, the penalty for slowing it down.
Go away. You back up, you want.
But just watch this. As Tarpey flicks the ball out of the back. Bell at full stretch, one hand, and then gathers with two and collects it.
And then there was the flop after the tackle had been effected. It was number 11 there, Korpu, who went in late.
Yeah, to a goal of the first tackle, and then it was continued after the referee had said it was held. Sorry, sir. Here's the call.
Corn's kick. Scotland with just over a quarter of an hour in which to rescue this position. Games to come against Ireland in Dublin on Wednesday and Samoa at Tynecastle. The next Sunday for the Scots. For the Maori it's Samoa at Workington on Wednesday and then Ireland in Dublin next Saturday. For those that survive this rugged battle. This is Vowles. Now Penny.
Kidwell did well. See how he just didn't take the decoy runner, just moved up and kept his eye on Penny, making sure that he couldn't go forward or get the pass away.
Hackenberg. Good play to slip it out. David Maiden. Russell. Now Vowles. Again, too much weight on the kick.
Well, Crowther was in space on the right hand side on the flank, but he couldn't find him with the pass, so the kick was too strong.
Time off. It's on my whistle. All restart. Right, wait for my whistle, please. Ready?
Seems a long time since Lee Penny scored that try for Scotland. Let's hear from Damien Johnson.
Okay, it's tackle one. Penny took a bit of a knock in a collision just a moment ago with Purcell, the big Maori. He's trying to run it off, but he looks a little bit like he's walking a bit gingerly at full-back, and that could be a weakness for the Maori to exploit.
Well, the weaknesses that the Maori are exploiting are those they've created themselves. There have been some big hits, and Purcell, Mackay and now Lee Penny have all felt the full force. Here's Tyron Smith.
That's four, clear!
Nico continues just to dictate. He's at right-hand half-back. And again involved, just forcing the pass, involved in most things now that the Maori do in controlling, using the experience.
This is Korpu. So much more confidence and freedom about the Maori now that they have a reasonable margin. One of the nerves and the inhibitions. Kick is by Moana, taken by Matt Crowder.
That was a poor passage of plays by the Maori. They didn't make much yardage in the forward direction, and the kick wasn't that good either. So Scotland now have a chance to come across the halfway line with the second tackle.
This is Maiden.
Maiden hopefully will put a gap in there, the dent in the defence. It's quite a big 10 yards, the referee's taking them back.
This is Lawton. Russell at dummy half. Now Richard Horn, who's not that big an influence on the game, since helping to create Lee Penny's try. That was better. Heckenberg.
That was better from Horn again, just running straight at the defence, causing problems, stepping off both feet. That was Penny's try, remember, that was caused by Horn running at them. No Vowles with a chance.
Wayne McDonald and now David Maiden, and he's in! This will put some interest back in the contest. A try for David Maiden of Scotland, his first in International Rugby League on the occasion of his third cap, and Scotland are back in it.
Well, Maiden, the whole player, formerly with the Queensland Crushers, made his debut for Scotland in '99. They were seeing very little on when he got the ball. The defence just seemed to drop off by the Maori, and he gave him a chance. And we'll go back to Richard Horn making that half break. Vowles again involved in this one, putting the pass out there, but the half tackle, nothing in front of him. Far from the referee when David Maiden received it, and he scores, brings Scotland back in this competition. This contest, this hard-fought contest. It's going to be said, slap tackling. Rohihi stood there and allowed Maiden to go unopposed to the try line. This will be a simple conversion to follow this one.
And it's going to be attempted by Matt Crowder, who has goal kicking in his family. He's the nephew of the former Hull player Sammy Lloyd, who was so successful with the boot, again in that side of the early 80s we were referring to a little earlier. Pulls it back to 16 points to 12, thanks to Maiden's try.
Good work from Scotland. They've been trying for a while. Vowles had a short ball which he could have promoted. McDonald drives it forward, Maiden collects, re-tackling in the end for the first time probably by the Maori. He just bumped off, never really got to grips. Coe Toilov involved. Maiden brings Scotland back into this one. All set up for a grandstand finish.
16 points to 12. Jonathan Davis has put his money on Scotland, because of the weather. I think he's feeling a little happier now than when they were trailing by 10. This is Wayne McDonald. And that's a penalty. Hanging on to play the ball by Werangi Korpu. Are we going to see the Maori getting a little rattled now that Scotland are back within striking distance?
Well, that 10-point margin that they had just saw the Maori relax a little bit. They were pushing passes which maybe they didn't need to do because they had control of the game, but not that much control. 10 points is not a large margin, and now with Scotland scoring that try by Maiden right back in it, only 4 points the difference, and Scotland will be feeling a little bit more confident. There's the stats. Scotland coming right back into it. Second half possession, they have a chance again through Penny down the right.
Well, Tyron Smith was a little high, but he managed to duck beneath it, and Penny's made good ground. 20 metres out from the Maori line. Less than 10 minutes to play. Lee Gilmore.
Touchdown.
Did well to get up from that.
Purcell.
Here's Daniel Heckenberg. St George Illawarra got forward. Russell at dummy half. A growing level of vocal support for the Scots with Adrian Vowles. And Jim Bell. Wonderful pass from Vowles.
Just a defensive flicking pass from Vowles. We said he was going to be influential. Big goal for the Maori and Vowles for Scotland, and that was a try-scoring pass. An assist in many sports. He will be given a point for that one. Well, all he had to do was collect it and hit the gap which he targeted. A fantastic pass. Just watch Vowles here, collecting the ball from Horn, drawing the defence, using the big number 16, McDonald as a foil, and Bell chimes into the line and hits the gap perfectly. Vowles just splits the defence with a pass, and Bell scores a try. All tied up with a kick to come.
So Jeff Bell, the Queenslander, giving a chance for Matt Crowther, who didn't start the game. He came off the bench with all the injuries that Scotland have suffered. He has a chance to put Scotland back in front. The scores tied at 16 points each. Crowther is Scotland's record point scorer. And he's played in 5 of their 7 internationals.
Kicking from his favourite side, and I would suggest that the breeze will just help this one if he manages to steer it between the uprights. Not worry about the distance, just the accuracy.
A couple of breaths of Glaswegian air. Relaxed approach. Has he got the distance?
Too relaxed. Well, I said the distance wasn't the problem. I think he maybe thought that the breeze was a little stronger than it was. It didn't give that one as much as it needed. And now we're possibly down to drop goals to separate the two sides at the end of this one. Here from a different angle, the try, and again the Vels pass. O'Donnell the foil, and Bell he just saw the gap there. All he had to do was wait for the pass, and it was perfectly delivered.
So we said at half-time, too close to call. Remains the case. And Vowles has made another break. Oh, and then the ball went loose, and the Maori will escape on this occasion. One-on-one. The challenge, had it been 2-on-1, it would have been a penalty, but Carl Love got back.
Well, he just started to drop off tackles, but because of that mistake from Bowers, they now have a chance to come back. Will they set themselves up in the middle of the field for the break goal? The clock continues to tick.
Nico will go down to the touchline in just a second after this attack has unfolded with Koa Love. In fact, we can now hear from Damien Johnson.
Yes, substitutions could be crucial as we enter the final stages of this game. 12 changes from the bench allowed on each side. The Maori have 3 left, Scotland 5. It could be crucial.
They sent for the 1 point. They got to the middle of the field.
And it is Gene Namu lofting the ball. And Stuart turns away and raises his arm to signal that Namu is successful.
The referee took his time in signalling that one, just checking with the linesman to make sure that it was. His touch judges that it was the 1 point. Namu had set himself. It was called by Nico. The full team knew what was on. He got to his favourite side and for the right footer. 1 point separates the two sides. Well struck by Namu. Took his time, picked the spot. 1 point the difference.
And we can have a draw today, with this being a match in the league section, the mini-league section of the World Cup. We can have a drawn game. We will only have periods of extra time in the knockout matches from the quarter-final stage onwards. And that's very much a possibility at this stage. Just 1 point in it through Namu's drop goal. Here's Nico. 5 minutes to play. Perinara. And Torpy spotting a gap and shooting away, and then offloading to Tirangi. Last tackle. And the scramble back in defence by Scotland. But will it be enough? The Maori do have an overlap, but they can't release the ball. Nahi knocked down by Horn. And it's all on, it's another 6.
Richard Horn just got a hand to that one.
So Scotland under significant pressure, but the ball has come loose and Wayne McDonald has gratefully gathered it up. Sort of held from the referee.
Gene, get square.
Maiden. Darkness beginning to fall across the Glasgow skyline. Floodlights burning out brightly here at Firhill. And here's Matt Daylight appropriately on the far wing. Vowles, who's been so influential in this Scottish comeback. McDonald. Russell at dummy half. to Richard Hall. Kicks downfield and has to backtrack. Now Joe Lydon has the choice of man of the match, and you've gone for?
Tyron Smith on screen there. Although the fullback Talpi's had a great game and done a lot of good things, including the 2 tries, I think Nico's just controlled things. He's dictated with the pattern of play. He's been involved in everything, including a little bit of a sin bin after that flat down. But he is, in my opinion, the man of the match, and deservedly so.
Is that because you're scared of him as well? Of course. 3 minutes and counting. Maori up by a point. Tyron Smith, good pass. It was an equally good tackle to hold Nico. Kick by Moana. Daylight goes back, the ball finds touch, and it'll be a scrum down, with Scotland needing to get the ball and get it downfield.
Yeah, they just play the clock out here. A good decision by Moana just to roll the ball down, waste a little bit of time. Daylight couldn't afford to touch that one in case it was a feed to the Maori at the scrum.
Right, let's go, team, let's go.
The aim for Scotland is to get within range.
Well, there's been a switch in the halfback position for Sailor field the scrum. Richard Horn
Time on, Gene, hold the fight.
going to receive at first.
Time off. Come on, fellas, don't waste time. Don't waste time.
Can exploit some
Stop the
gap.
clock. And they started it again. This is Richard Hall. This is the stage of the game where destiny beckons to someone to really make themselves a reputation. First ever involvement in a World Cup tournament for both these sides. And Andrew Purcell, who's playing despite that injury that's hindered him for most of the match.
Let him up, get your hand out.
Russell. Now Dale Lawton.
What a battle these forwards have had. A full match non-stop.
Horn. Good chip over the top, hoping the bounce is in his favour, but it isn't. It quite nicely for Torpy.
Yeah, just a touch too far. Richard Horn wanted the bounce to come back to him. Torpy was there covering well. And there'll be no rush. Take it up on the white football and then go for the corner. Just over a minute to play.
Here's Moana. Now Nico. Succeeding in running the clock down at this stage as the rain begins to really come down with some force across Fir Hill, making it even more inhospitable. Tyron Smith. You can now see the rain. Self-evident on your picture. A good kick.
Good kick from Namu. Again, using the clock. Field position. They realise that Scotland, to pinch this one off them, will have to score a penalty or a try.
When your scrum set, I'll stop the clock.
And they are deep inside Scotland's half of the field, and that's where they want to be. Last chance possibly for Scotland. Caution to the wind, quite literally.
Let's go, get in.
Nico, the captain there, attacking runs. Passes given 17, he's been involved in everything. I think justifying that man of the match tag.
With Gilmore to Jeff Bell. Scotland feeling they have to run. Attack is very much against them.
No penalties, fellas, no penalties.
We saw a situation in one of the playoff games where Stallings managed to conjure a try as the hooter was sounding from a similar position to this, but that happens once every 10 years or so, or once every 20 years, but not today. And the Maori have marked their first ever appearance in a match in a World Cup by winning by a solitary point the drop goal by Jean Namu, separating these two gallant sides. And amidst the driving rain and the wind of Fir Hill, there has been a contest of heartwarming intensity, but it's gone the way of the Maori.
It was always going to be a battle. We said right at the start that it would be hard to separate the two. Both come here with no real form to judge them by, but they knew tough defences will be on offer, and that's exactly what we got, with some great skill as well. The Maori dominated that second half, opening period of the second half, scored 2 quick tries which just set them up, and all Scotland came back. At 1 point, drop goal from Namu, just seals it.
Well, the Maori grouping together, and celebrating their victory. There's the captain and the man of the match, Tawera Nico. The haka, of course, is actually a celebration of victory. It's almost a tradition these days that they perform it before the match, but now they're coming across to salute their small band of supporters in the crowd who've seen a historic moment, the first victory for the Maori, clinched by that man, Jean Namu, with the coolest of drop goal attempts, 5 minutes from the end of a contest that was close for the most part, and by the end was very close indeed. Let's hear from the man who scored 2 match-clinching tries. Clinton Torpey, the fullback of the New Zealand Maori, is with Damien Johnson.
Clinton, victory today, but it was ever so tight.
Yeah, we always knew it was going to be a tough game. They come out there and fought us to the end. But full credit to our boys, they were going right out there.
You must be delighted with your 2 tries.
Yeah, I guess I was just lucky. Opportunities were there and I took it.
It was a highly physical encounter. Could you feel the pace?
Oh yeah, definitely felt the pace out there. Really tough game. We always knew that big guys are going to come out there. But we muscled up with them.
How important was it to win the first one?
This sort of shows us where we are in our pool, and what's going to be the base for our journey to go through.
Can you go through?
We know it's not going to be easy, but we're going to give it 100%.
Jean Namu has joined us. Jean, that drop goal. You played for the field position, but how did it go for you?
I just sort of clipped over the crossbar. Thing wasn't all over. We made half of ourselves today. Didn't complete that many sets in the first half. And played a bit of football in the second half and came over with a close one, mate.
When you hit it, did you feel it was going over the drop kick?
Not really. I was a fair divot out there. Nearly sprained my ankle in the process, but I know what I was happy.
Now, next up it's Samoa Island. Can't remember now. That's right. How do you see that one going?
Another tough one, mate. Physical encounter. But we'll enjoy this week.
Are we going to see you in England next year, playing in England?
Yeah, we'll let you know.
We've got Danny Russell, the Scotland captain. Danny must be bitterly disappointed to lose by 1 point.
To lose like that, it's really hard. The boys put in a big effort today. I don't think we used the conditions as well as we should have done in the second half. We scored a couple of balls, red opportunities, and had to sort of control the game a little bit more, but we split too much bad ball.
A draw would have been a fair result, we think, on reflection?
It was a pretty well matched game, I thought. Very physical up front, which we knew it was going to be. It just came down to, we knew it was going to come down to mistakes. In the second half, I think they controlled the ball a little bit better than what we did.
I think everyone was impressed by the spirited Scotland fight back.
It is, mate. The boys that play, they're all top-class players. They play with plenty of spirit in there, and they fucking put their bodies on the line.
Thanks very much.
Well, still alongside me up on the commentary gantry here is Joe Lydon. Joe, you're in the more or less unique position of having seen all 4 sides in this group, Ireland and Samoa yesterday, Scotland and the Maori today. Where does the strength lie?
I don't know. Tagged as a group of death, this one, and rightly so, because so close to call. All teams will get better. The Maori today have proved that they are a formidable force. Ireland, probably the tournament's favourites in this group, with the form guide before the competition starts, but I think it's going to be very, very close and interesting to see who progresses forward. I think it'll be Ireland and the Maori who will battle it out to get first and second in this group.
But at the home of Partick Thistle, it was the Maori who grasped the nettle, and they've won by a solitary point, 17-16 here in Glasgow.